Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. It's good to be back with you. I hope you are doing well. You can listen to and watch me on Rumble and YouTube. And you can follow me on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. Please like, share, and subscribe because it does feed the AI algorithm. And lastly, please post your comments and or questions below. It would be wonderful to hear from you. It's great to be back with you for this new episode. And let's jump right into it. This is from CNN. We're going back to the restaurant industry. Found this article. Thought it was real fascinating. Last time we talked about, in a previous article, we talked about, or read about rather, the implementation of AI and robots into the restaurant industry. The organization, I don't recall the name of the organization, but they were talking about how often or how AI and robots had been implemented into the restaurant industry and what that was going to look like. And here we have an example of AI being implemented into a restaurant and how that has changed the experience. At least from my perspective, this has changed the experience. It's going to change the experience. And I have some final thoughts at the end. I'll do my final three thoughts and get into that a little bit more. Title of the article: This fine dining restaurant is bringing artificial intelligence to the dinner table, by Rebecca Carnes from CNN. And as you see, it's a more recent article. Let's go down here. All right. So it's editor's note: the CNN series was sponsored by the country. It highlights CNN retains full editorial control. All right, we're not going to get in that. We already know that. Okay. So this is from Dubai. This restaurant is located in Dubai. The article begins: in a dark, round dining room, the late French chef Paul Bocuse explains the next dish. It has all the hallmarks of the classic fine dining cuisine Bocuse was famed for: quail and foie gras wrapped in mushroom pate and pastry and lavished with truffle sauce. If I got some of that French wrong, I apologize. French is certainly not my first language. And I did okay in French, but not great. Anyway, let's continue on. But at Crosado, a fine dining restaurant in Dubai, nothing is what it seems. Bocuse is not physically there. He's been dead for 6 years. Instead, it's his likeness projected onto the room's curved walls before dissolving into the dark. All right, this is interesting. At least I find this interesting. What we're going to see is a direct application of what AI, at least in this case, what AI looks like in a restaurant. Now, this is a high-class restaurant, or it's a more specialized restaurant. I imagine it's not cheap to eat here. It's not like you're going out for a cheeseburger and fries, which, by the way, I do have a question about that at the end. And I'll just go ahead and say this: is this going to be different? Is this going to become the normal experience, or is this going to become different from every restaurant you go into is a little bit different, right? So how is AI and robots going to change that? That's kind of where I'm going with this, but let's continue on here. The article continues: the dish, from the recipe to the wall projection to the deepfake video of Bocuse, was designed by artificial intelligence. It's one of 8 courses in Imaginary Futures, a multi-sensory dining experience Acro Soda. I think I pronounced that wrong earlier. Let me get some coffee. Let's continue on with the article here. The experience takes diners through different scenarios of what the future could look like. From an underwater city to a space colony to a post nuclear apocalypse, with each dish themed for its setting. Okay, I'm guessing the dining experience is a bit more is kind of complicated to explain in words from what I'm reading here, and I've read this over I've read this a couple times. I'm guessing this is very different than going out for sushi or going to Burger King or someplace like that. And for me personally, eating food, when I eat food, I kind of just want to eat food. I want to get my food and I want to eat. I don't, be honest, I kind of don't care about the surroundings. It's not my thing. I mean, that's just you can call me low class if you want. I kind of just like, look, I just want to eat. I want to get it done. And I like eating, but I don't need to be odd. Sometimes I go to a restaurant, it's a bit distracting. I usually never go back to those restaurants. I can tell you a lot. There's been to a few restaurants where there was a lot going on, and I've never been back to those restaurants. Back in the day, I used to go to Hooters and watch football games, but that was different. It was obviously different, and that certainly wasn't AI. All right, so let's continue here. For its AI scenario, Krasoda's co-founders, digital artist Anton Ninashev, chef Vladimir Mukin, and entrepreneur Boris Zokov ceded control to technology. Ninashev, who designs the projections with 3D computer graphics software, that's pretty cool, let the AI come up with 150 different concepts before merging together the best. Let me pause right there. So, what I usually this is kind of my workflow, how I go through things when I do these episodes. I will pre-record first, and then after I go through that, then I will go through the process of creating a thumbnail afterwards. And I can tell you, and as I've said before, I've been creating thumbnails using Deep AI. Of figuring out how to use the prompt, and I have to go through. The reason why I'm stopping here at 100 when it says 150 different concepts is because I have to go through a few of them before I find one that actually makes sense based off of what I'm trying to convey to you, the listener or the viewer. Right? I'm trying to find the best thumbnail that will attract you to the video, in hopes of getting you to listen to, to one click on to click. Well, not listen to, but rather I'm hoping my voice actually gets you to listen to me and my ideas, and hopefully you find that interesting. But the thumbnail itself, I'm trying to get you to click on it, right? And so the one I had fun with was the Elon Musk video, where I put in quotes in the thought bubble, which was, Grok the Casbah. Right, that one was fun. The other one was the previous episode I did on restaurants with the robots that look kind of like the Avengers, or actually look like Iron Man robots, asking you, how may we help you? But I had to go through a few iterations before I found that photo. And so this sounds like this is what's going on here, right? He's prompting AI to go through, in this case, 150 different concepts before merging together the best ones, right? So that means there were quite a few that I imagine there's quite a few that he's not using. And so I wanted to point that out. It's when you interact with AI at the interface level, it's not the first one. It's generally not the first one you're going to use right away. I have another video I'll be posting soon that has Sam Altman in it, speaking to an audience. But there were actually a few prompts where I gave those details and AI didn't even return an audience. It just returned Sam Altman. So a part of this process involves some creativity and finding the prompt that will actually give you back what you're looking for or close to it. I haven't gotten exactly what I was looking for. I mean, it's more of an approximation of what I'm looking for. But that's what I would expect from AI. Let me grab some coffee here. So anyway, let's continue here. And Mukin, we'll say Mukin, prompted generative platform Midjourney to reimagine Bocuse's most iconic recipes, including his signature truffle VGE soup. Article quotes here: "We drew inspiration from the intriguing prospect of AI recreating individuals based on comprehensive data about their lives and experiences," Zarkov said. And that's another thing too. AI is going to take data from the people who are most interactive with the public sphere or with the public space. So AI is going to get plenty of data from, let's say, Elon Musk. It's going to get plenty of data from, former President Donald J. Trump. It's going to get plenty of data from President Joseph Biden, right? It will get data from certain famous scientists, let's say like Neil deGrasse Tyson. It will get plenty of data from, let's say Harrison Ford, or actors, right? But it's not going to get plenty of data. It's not going to get much data from people who are just not famous. Right? There's going to be a lot of people that AI is going to miss out on. And I just thought I'd throw that out there as context. I mean, it's nice they can get data on this particular person, but there's going to be a lot of people that there are some people who do not interact with the internet. And regarding AI or them living on through AI, their data is going to be lost in history forever. So just food for thought. I think that's kind of interesting. Anyway, let's continue here with the article. He describes it as a digital age seance. Again, that's the case. We're only going to have seances with certain people. Some people are it's just not going to be possible. Digital seance is just not going to be possible because we're not going to have access to their data. Seance that evokes the memories and style of the late chef through technology. And it's just the beginning for the future of dining, he says. Quote here: "Living hand in hand with artificial intelligence has shifted from fantasy to reality," Zarkov adds. So what's this say? "The round room creates a 360-degree immersive experience with more than 20 projectors showing seamless 3D video graphics." So I'm wondering are these people are these groups of people, are they in a room by themselves, or is the room the restaurant itself? So there are hotels where they have different rooms with different styles. I'm sure you've heard this before. So they have a hotel room. Let's say you're on Mars. So you walk into the room and it looks like you're on Mars, or you walk into another room and it looks like you're on the moon, or you walk into one room and let's say it looks like I don't know, where do the Chicago Cubs play? Right, Wrigley Field. And so there's different styles in different rooms. So I'm wondering if this is the same, where you get a group of 10 people and they go into a room and they're immersed in that room, in that experience, and whatever they're eating is reflective of whatever's on the wall, and then you go to another room and that group, they're having a different dining experience. I wonder if that's what's going on here. So first of its kind, Zarkov, the restaurateur behind the acclaimed White Rabbit in Moscow, where Mukin is also head chef and co-founder, came up with the idea for Cresoda while visiting Team Lab's Digital Art Museum in Tokyo in 2017, which featured an interactive tea house experience. Yeah, and I think I was saying that before. I've been to restaurants where there was a lot going on, and it's kind of what I was saying. So I was getting to was these previous restaurants that I've attended, they were interactive restaurants. And that's good for a single experience. But again, I'm the type of person I just kind of want to eat. I mean, I could go out and do it once, but I'm not gonna go back. I've never gone back to any restaurants like that. So this would be interesting for the experience, but as far as like a repeat customer, that's not for me. Maybe it's for you. If it's for you, go ahead and comment below. Feel free to comment. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these articles, on some of the things I'm saying in these videos and ideas, and it'd be great to interact with you. I always appreciate, and let me say this: I always appreciate people posting comments. I know more listeners have been posting comments lately. I appreciate that. Especially on Rumble. On Rumble, I've been seeing a lot more activity, interest in the video. So I do appreciate I appreciate the likes. I appreciate the comments, and again, it'd be great to hear from you. So thank you to those listeners who have been commenting and liking. I appreciate it, and thank you to you who have been listening. And if it's first time here, welcome. All right. So anyway, let's see article comments here. The projection on the table was very simple. For example, you take the matcha tea and it's like the tree starts to grow from your cup. Zarkov explains. I decided to do something more with the technology, more food focused, more complicated. And we'll just continue here with the article. Assembling an international team of engineers. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. They began working on multi-surface projections and an AI-enabled interactive tabletop that uses sensors to distinguish between different objects, such as plates and glasses, versus guest hands or phones, which allows targeted projection. For example, fireflies that gather on glasses and plates, or an arcade game activated by the diner's hand. So this is what I was talking about in the previous restaurant episode, where they're going to be bringing in engineers, different types of engineers into restaurants, right? Whereas before you would generally never find an engineer inside a restaurant. There was no need for it. But with the emergence of AI and robots interacting with restaurants, now you're going to need engineers. You're going to need software engineers. You're going to need mechanical engineers. In this case, they're talking about sensors, right? So they're probably working with embedded engineers, embedded software engineers, embedded systems engineers, computer engineers, right? These people could have backgrounds in electrical and computer and software engineering. So because it's not just AI, the software, now you have to build an infrastructure, which is also going to include hardware. The software, the AI, is now interacting with the hardware, and they have to get that to work inside the restaurant, right? Based off of the requirements. Another word for requirements would be the needs of the customer. In this case, it's these individuals who have started this restaurant in Dubai. And this is just one restaurant. What if they decide to expand? And what if they decide to expand multiple restaurants? Well, they're going to continue to need the services of those engineers. And then for other people who start restaurants that require software and hardware, it's going to be the same thing. And so, let's say and so then who do they call for engineers? Well, somebody's going to have to start a company now to provide a service for this. maybe a consulting, engineering consulting company or something like that, and they specialize in this type of stuff within the restaurant industry. And so they're not just going to hire engineers, but now they're also going to hire administrators. They're probably going to have an HR department. They're going to need sales and marketing, so they can find customers like these individuals, right? So now, because of AI and robots, now there's a need in the marketplace for other types of businesses that didn't exist before. There are data consulting companies. Before the information age, and matter of fact, just over the last 20 years, these data consulting companies have been emerging in the marketplace, but nobody needed these companies 30 years ago. But now these companies exist, and they have a group of analysts that just sit around and go through data. But it's not just them; it is, again, administrators, sales, marketing, right? A lot of these same types of specialized jobs are coming with in a supportive role, right? You can have engineers, the technical side, but for business, you're always going to need the non-technical side as well, like accountants. If you're large enough, you're going to need lawyers. So, companies at first might just exist with a couple engineers, but eventually they're going to need to hire non-technical staff in order to support the engineers and the work that they're trying to do. So let's continue here. So from Borisov says, living hand in hand with artificial intelligence has shifted from fantasy to reality. So they quote Zarkov here. This was the most difficult, complicated technology we made. He claims the technology was the first of its kind. When Kursota initially launched in Moscow in 2021, and recalls staff spending a full month training the AI by repeatedly putting plates down on the table and moving objects to test it. Yeah, I'm gonna get some coffee here. I got a thought on that, by the way. All right. That sounds right to me. When you're building a technology, and I maybe I've said this before, maybe I haven't. One of my issues with listening to Sam Altman, although I may agree with him sometimes, is he never talks about the testing and validation process. And that is whenever you're working on a product. In this case, they're working on, so AI is interacting with hardware. In this case, it's plates, plates down on a table, things like that. But they're also going to need hardware infrastructure to support the AI, so the AI can exist in that environment. Here, he's talking about test it, right? And so he's not using the word validate, but he's tending towards the idea of testing and validating. And when you work in industry and you have software, both software and hardware, you are consistently testing and validating things. Let's say a machine. You're constantly testing and validating, because the software could work and you test and validate the software, but it doesn't mean it's going to work as you expected on the machine. And so in this case, in the restaurant, they're repeatedly training the AI. That's fine, but they're also going to have to do some testing and validating in the restaurant to make sure that that technology is meeting their expectations. And that takes a few iterations, if not a lot of iterations. And of course, you're not going to, the reason why I do these articles is so that way you can get these types of insights. Like, these are insights that you're not going to get from just somebody writing an article. Obviously, every article I've read so far, the insights I'm providing are deeper insights into what's actually happening behind the curtain, so to speak. And so it's good that they put that. It's good that they put that in there, right? Because there's going to be a lot of that. Test it. So anyway, we'll continue here with the quote. At first, it was not very fast. When you moved your phone, it would take 3 seconds to react, says Zarkov. But AI uses machine learning to improve when it receives new information. Okay. Machine learning and AI are not the same thing. generally machine learning is viewed as existing inside of AI, but a lot of times in mainstream articles they will use AI and machine learning interactively. They'll use them as synonyms. So my suspicion is what's going on here is they're using AI models, not machine learning models. That's what's going on. But I haven't seen exactly what under the hood, so I can't tell for sure. But that's what I suspect is they're using AI models, which is it's different from a machine learning model. Let's see here. So our quote here is now you can play with any images on the table. It's like it's alive, he adds. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that. Now I actually could dig that. I'm not sure if I would want to eat. That looks like a Battlestar Galactica kind of. No, it's a space thing going on. I'm just not sure if I would want to eat in that environment. But I don't know. Maybe it'd be interesting for again, something like that would be interesting for one time. But I don't believe I'd actually want to continue doing like I wouldn't want to go in there every Monday and eat. It just wouldn't be my thing. So it says here some courses have interactive gaming elements such as the space scenarios where AI enabled projectors track diners' hands on the table while they shoot passing spaceships. Okay, so it's like playing Asteroid and eating at the same time, if you're familiar with Asteroid. Cressota Dubai opened in 2023 with one show, Imaginary Art, which takes diners through 8 courses inspired by famous works by international artists. 6 months later, the team launched Imaginary Future, a speculative voyage through the world in the coming decades. That would be interesting. Getting the pacing of the show right was tricky, says Zarkov. It's important to make the focus on the screen or on the food, he says, adding, when you have a lot of focus on the screen, your food becomes popcorn. Yeah, I imagine so. I think it'd be kind of distracting, but again, one time and be kind of cool. All right, so here we continue the article. The experience carefully directs diners' attention. The most exciting and dynamic visuals are in the breaks between courses and when food arrives. The graphics become repetitive and passive. The interactive elements only come to the fore when the plates are cleared, and in case there's any confusion, human staff dressed in eccentric thematic costumes help focus on the correct medium. Okay, so yeah, I could see how that could get really crazy in there. You're trying to eat, and you're being distracted, but they have a process so that way you're less distracted, and they keep you on point and moving forward through the experience. That's a good design. We continue here. Whether it's the food or the screen, Zarkov hopes guests take away that art is important. We want them to feel it. Yeah, art's important. Nothing wrong with art. I like my sci-fi. Sonic seasoning. Technology at the dinner table isn't an entirely new concept. In 2007, The Fat Duck by Heston Blumenthal in the UK introduced the sound of the sea, a now famous dish of shellfish sashimi. There you go. Now we're introducing some sushi. Played it on an edible sandy shoreline, accompanied by a mini iPad stuck in a conch shell and earphones playing the sound of waves crashing gently on the beach and the cry of seagulls. See right there. Oh, that's an interesting thought. Second, does this see here says the second scenario imagines humans in harmony with the natural world, featuring plant-based tacos and all-natural soda. I don't know. I still like my street tacos. Nothing beats street tacos. We'll continue here with the article. It was one of the first technology-enabled multisensory dishes in the world, says Charles Spence, a professor of experimental psychology at the University of Oxford. He spent the last 2 decades exploring how audiovisual stimuli change how food tastes, or at least our perception of it. Let me grab some coffee. Yeah, there's a whole side of AI, which I never hear people, people like Sam Altman, Elon Musk, others never hear them speak about, which is the psychology part of AI, interacting with AI. If you're interested in that, I would explore social psychology, cognitive psychology, uh, philosophy, philosophy of the mind. Right? You can explore ideas of AI and AI interacting with human beings. It would provide a lot more depth to the subject matter of artificial intelligence. Generally, you can gain access to that with going to university course or courses, but I'm sure you could apply. Just put those terms in Google search or whatever search engine you like to use, and you'll get some interesting links back. And feel free to go down that rabbit hole. It's fun. It's a lot. It's some good information, some good knowledge to have, and it'll create some breadth with AI. Let's see here. Okay, so it continues on as Charles Spence. For example, classical melodies will make you think the food is more expensive. I could see that. And music that matches the cuisine, for example, Italian songs with a pasta or pizza dish will increase the perception of authenticity. Yeah. Yeah, because we're associating those ideas, let's say with regard to pizza or Italian, we're associating pizza and pasta with Italian, right? If you listen, I imagine if you listen to Japanese music while eating sushi, it would also enhance the experience. People don't go to raves and listen to country music. They go to the raves and they listen to techno music. That's what they listen to. People don't mosh at a country concert. They mosh at a thrash metal or heavy metal concert. Right? We are always associating ideas with activities and with events and with certain cultures and things like that. So we'll continue here. We'll increase the perception of this authenticity. Okay, I already said that. I already read that. In one experiment, Spence found participants rated the same wine about 15% sweeter and fruitier with red lighting compared to when it's the green light, which brings out the freshness and the acidity instead. Yeah, that's I don't drink anymore. Not because I'm an alcoholic. I just chose to stop drinking a few years ago. But when I would indulge in wine or beer, I would drink certain types of beers with certain types of foods. And that would help engage the chemistry in the experience of eating that food. Right. So if I had a burger and fries, let's say, I would have an IPA. Maybe a darker IPA. If I had, let's see, what was some of the stuff? What some of the combinations I would use? You would, with wine, you would drink a darker wine with foods. The rule of thumb was you drink a darker wine, darker drink with darker foods, and then you'd have, and it's not always true, but you would have a lighter wine with lighter looking foods, and that generally worked, and that would enhance the experience. And so I could see how in this environment and what Spence is talking about, you would make those connections, and that would help enhance the chemistry and the experience of it. So we'll continue on here with the article. Even the pitch of music can impact the taste, Spence adds. Low-pitched sounds will make something taste more bitter, while tinkling, high-pitched notes will bring out the sweetness. That's interesting. Never thought about that. Quote here by Spence: more and more chefs are deliberately introducing this kind of sonic seasoning to modify the taste of their food, says Spence, adding that there's a growing interest from consumers eager to explore the surprising connections between their different senses. Technology is becoming more common in these multisensory experiences. Restaurants like Zanan, also in Dubai, use AI-generated art installations to change the mood of the dining room. And private dining room Jing in Hong Kong explores the ancient Song dynasty through an immersive dinner experience with projections and a lighting scheme. Oh, that's interesting. That's pretty there. Oh well, maybe not. I like the glass. I'm not so crazy about the silverware, whatever that is. Or is that part of the food? I can't tell. Oh yeah, so Crosoda's custom-made ceramic plates and cutlery in the style of seashells and crab claws, helping evoke the experience of dining underwater. Yeah, I'm not sure I would go for that. Let's take a look at this again. I like the glass is kind of cool, but yeah, I don't know. Not my thing. Just give me for sushi, just give me chopsticks, and then for regular food, just give me a fork, spoon, and knife. I'm good to go. I'm pretty low maintenance with that stuff. All right, so multisensory goes sci-fi. Most multisensory dining experiences, often hosted at high-end venues and conceptualized by world-class chefs, are expensive and inaccessible. Crosoda's show starts from 1,200 dirhams or around $326. I would not pay that. I'm just letting you know right now. I would not pay that. No, not even one experience would I pay that. No, absolutely not. I'd rather go get some local Thai food or just some local food. You know, take me to some place that looks a little dumpy with, you know, with local food. That's what I want. It'll be less expensive, and I bet it'll be really good. I've never been to Dubai, and I've never had food in Dubai, but I imagine if you get the local stuff, it's going to be pretty good. But let's continue here. But Spence likens it to the Formula One of food, where the best dishes and experiences will percolate down to the mainstream. I don't think so. I disagree. The price point's definitely going to have to come down. I mean, if you could get the price point down to like $10, then maybe. But people aren't. The regular person is not going to spend $326 for that experience. That's not going to happen. So article continues here, and that's already happening. Fanta's TikTok experience asks consumers to explore how the flavor of its special edition drink changed with different stimuli, and Spence is working with Italian food manufacturer Barilla on soundscapes for different pasta types. Well, okay. So, yeah, I mean, for experiencing different, combining beers and food and wine and food and sounds and food, yes. I don't know how widespread that's going to be, but I imagine more and more people will take an interest in it. Now, will they do that with every meal? No, because generally people just want to eat. Like, give me some food. I got other stuff I need to do. They literally can only spend 10, 15 minutes doing this. I got to go. Right? That's going to be most everyone's experience eating food. I guess where I was going with it's not going to be mainstream is going to expensive restaurants and going through this experience, right? Because I mean, how can you have to get that down in order for somebody to attend. The regular person's not going to spend $326. They're going to spend that on their rent or their food for the next week or 2 weeks. And that's provided, everything stays the same in the market right now. I mean, if inflation goes up, well, that just changes, that further changes the game. But regarding stimuli and interacting different food types, yeah, maybe it will. Again, I'm a bit surprised as a psychologist who would say that this would become more common. Yeah, the more I'm thinking about this, more I'm just disagreeing with this. Human nature is human nature. People just want to eat for the most part. It's a luxury to be able to go to these types of restaurants or think about doing these, sonic seasoning and things like that. But let's read on. In the future, Spence sees more companies integrating sensory experiences, perhaps QR codes on products that link to a playlist to enhance the taste. Zarkov's vision of the future is a little more sci-fi. He speculates that ultimately brain chips will trick your mind into presenting your senses with whatever your heart desires. In your mind, it looks like the best California sushi rolls you've ever seen, says Zarkov, but really the dish is biomass with the precise nutrients, vitamins, and minerals your body needs. I don't know. All right, so there's a quote here from Charles Spence. Any technology that interferes with the social aspects of dining will not succeed. Yeah, see, there you go. People mostly want to talk with each other. Dining is fundamentally a social activity. Yes. But in a busy world, it's also something you have to do right now. You have to get it out of the way. If you only have 30 minutes for lunch, you don't have time for this. You got to eat lunch. Or dinner, you have a bunch of stuff to do in the evening, which most people do. Look, you want to get your food. It'd be nice to be able to cook for an hour and eat, but you don't have time for that, right? You don't have time to pull out all this fun stuff and do things with it. So let's continue here. But if people are plugged into their own hyper optimized world, if the dishes on the table don't look the same to your partner as they do to you, if the decor is different, does dining lose its communal and social aspect? And here's the quote right here. Any technology that interferes with the social aspects of dining will not succeed, which I think this technology largely does, such as headsets or goggles, says Spence. People mostly want to talk to each other. Dining is fundamentally a social activity. And that's another question I would have. In this restaurant, would you be able to communicate with each other with everything going on, especially if it's so distractive that the employees need to help direct you through the process? Would you actually be able to interact with the people you're eating with? Last couple paragraphs here. So Zarkov agrees that the main goal is still socializing, and Crossoda avoids technology like VR that could be disruptive to the experience. One element the team is currently testing is projecting a live scan onto people's hands, giving them a different aesthetic, like a scaly fish. But designing it to move with the person is still very complicated, says Zarkov. I read that before, and then now reading it live or reading it as I'm doing this is kind of, I don't know about that. Well, that's another thing too. When you read this, I can read this stuff before. You go through these articles, write notes down, and I come and I do it here as I'm recording. That does change the experience of reading an article. Because now when I read it, I just kind of read it. I don't insert my own thoughts. But when I'm recording this, I insert my own thoughts. So that also changes my talking about changing experiences. It's a different experience. Anyway, let's continue here. Crossoda is continuing to develop new ideas and experiment with its projection tech. Its next show, expected to launch in early 2025, is inspired by Alice in Wonderland and will use a lot of AI in the production. Because they made a huge step forward in the technology last year, says Zarkov, adding, we can now resurrect images of people, use AI in creative processes, and either embrace or fear this collaborative dynamic. And that's the article. So anyways, I thought that was an interesting article. It continued off with the previous episode that I did on AI and robots taking over the restaurant industry. And now we get to see an example of how AI interacts, or how it interacts in a restaurant, how it's utilized in a restaurant in order to change experiences. And so I'll leave you with my 3 final thoughts on this. So first thought, can AI and or robots truly capture dining's social essence? This question was posed to me by Vincent Valentine, CEO of Cognitive.ai on X, the platform normally known as Twitter. Thank you, Vincent, for the question. I replied to him. I answered no. At least not currently. And when AI and robots are introduced, the essence will change. So if you're in a restaurant, you go in and get a beer and a burger. Let's say there's no AI, there's no robots. You come in the next day, you order the same thing. Now there's AI and robots. Will your experience? Oh, let me back up. There were people in there the first day. The second day you go in there, The beer and the burger haven't changed, but now there are no people. It's just AI and robots. Will your experience be the same? Will the essence be the same? And my position is no, because you've introduced new variables. As of right now, people act a certain way, robots act a certain way. So they are not the same. Could they be the same in the future? In the future, possibly. But as of right now, no. So I thought that was an interesting question. So thank you, Vincent, for asking that question. I appreciate it. And feel free to follow Vincent Valentine on X. Just go to my X account, and I did repost one of his articles, and so you can follow him there. Second thought. As I've stated before, engineers will be required to build and maintain AI and robot infrastructure. We saw an example of this in this article. This stuff just doesn't magically appear. And I know you know that. But the way it's talked about in media, it's as though it just kind of pops up and it's there. As we see from this article and what I've talked about in previous episodes, this is going to require a lot more people, right? Companies are going to have to, not just hire engineers, but they're going to have to hire non-technical staff as well to support those engineers. And the article didn't even talk about if those engineers came from a consulting company, right? So you're going to have consulting companies. And by the way, you're going to have competing consulting companies, competing over this business in a market. So back to previously to some of the things I talked about, education in STEM is extremely important, right? You're going to need more scientists. You're going to need more technologists. You're going to need more engineers. You're going to need more mathematicians. If we want the market is demanding this. And so schools are going to have to, it's my opinion, schools are going to have to change in order to meet the demand of the market. And they're going to have to do it a lot earlier. It's not going to wait till college for it. Thought number 3, the market will diversify. We see this is a new business model. These types of restaurants will exist, right? These types of restaurants will exist, but will it be a common experience? Will it be like going to Burger King? Or will it be like going for sushi? Will mom and pop breakfast shops provide this experience? How about food trucks? Those, Burger King is different from sushi. Sushi is different from a mom and pop shop. Mom and pop shop is different from a food truck. They're all different from each other. Yeah. So, and would it make sense to implement AI in those environments, like what they have here? Where these people go to a food truck, they're going to a food truck to get food. They're not going to hang out for very long, right? So it's probably not the case that AI and robots would make sense there. Plus, they don't have a lot of employees, so costs regarding employees are probably lower than a restaurant, right? So you can still maintain your revenues, but now you don't have a brick and mortar to worry about, and you don't have a bunch of employees. You've limited your staff. Same thing with Burger King. Do people go to Burger King for AI and robots? No doubt AI and robots will probably be implemented somewhat in Burger King, but you're probably still going to be talking to people. You're going to get your food from people. People are still going to be making the food, at least for the foreseeable future. So, excuse me. So I just thought I would mention that, ask those questions. Definitely comment and comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this subject, on this topic. It'd be great to hear from you. And I'm going to leave it there. I hope you are doing well, no matter where you are. And if I can find my mouse here, for some reason I've been having trouble finding my mouse lately. I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.